Okay, so yeah, I've moved on to the other side of the quarter panel here, and as you can see, I've cut out a large section. It's very similar to the other side, but this is weird because it's quite thick here, whereas the other one on this bracing was quite thin. So I don't know if that's standard or whether that's been repaired with something different. I'd say it's standard. It must have something to do with the exhaust, but if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. But yeah, so you can see it's pretty rusted out there. So I have to cut all that section out and all down there. I'm sort of debating whether to go all the way through to that tail where the bumperette is, but it's pretty good metal, so I may leave it. So yeah, I'll just have to fabricate that section there and this section, and then put the skin on. So as I've done one before, hopefully, technically, this should be easier. Okay, so I've followed the same course of action as the other side of the quarter panel. And first of all, I've unpicked the spot welds on that front section and cut that out. So you can see that little circle with that other little bell house cap was there to get access to inside. And as I said before, this side, the right-hand side's quite a bit wider. For some reason, I don't know. If anyone knows, leave a comment and let me know why, because I find that quite strange. Quite a bit wide actually, probably 10 centimetres. But yeah, so that's out. You can see it's just rotten, and that had to go all the way up to there. So, and then I had to cut out that whole lower section of that inside panel. It's even gone a little bit thin up there, but I can't really get access, so I'm going to just leave it. So now I'm just going to fabricate that intersection. So I'll concentrate maybe on doing this one. I reckon this one's going to be the hard one. I'm going to probably break that up into 2 bits. And then this section here, which is that lower inside panel. You can get these from Rare Spares for the whole section, but I'm just going to fabricate it because I don't particularly need it all. So yeah, you can see that's quite rotten as well. So yeah, this side's worse than the other side. And there's a little indent just there, so I've got to have to fold that in somehow and then weld it in. And then there's a little bracket there that I've unpicked the spot weld just to save that. And that's pretty much just got surface rust on it, but that'll give structural stability to that inside panel when I weld it in. You can see up there's a bit of surface rust as well. So yeah, have to really clean all that out and before I weld it in, to make sure that it doesn't rust further down the track. So yeah, I'll start by fabricating that first section and go from there. Okay, so I've managed to fabricate that intersection there, which yeah, it was touch and go for a while there, but it managed to turn out all right. I decided not to grind back all those welds because yeah, it's not really worth it, to be honest. And you just sort of open the chance of creating a pinhole if you go too flush with your weld, so with your grinding. So I just leave it like that. Yeah, so I got a notch there. I'm not too sure why that was there, but I decided to do it anyway. Yeah, put a bit of weld there just to make sure that bracket holds. Yeah, so I've still got to treat all the inside of this at another stage, but at this stage it's just purely just the rust repairs. So that inner structural bit's done, and yeah, I had a real issue with getting the front of this done because it sort of tapers in quite a bit, and then it's got this sort of like recess and then thin down the bottom, so I had to do it in a couple of sections and just filled it with weld. So I'm going to seam seal this because I learned from last time to do that before you put the outer skin on. But firstly, before I seam seal it, I will start fabricating this large section here, which is going to be pretty testing, I would say. It's quite a complicated bit, so yep, stay tuned to that. Okay, so I've got this fitted up. This is actually the best one I've done yet. You don't think you're learning when you're doing this kind of work, but in the back of your mind, in the subconscious, your mind is figuring it out. And yeah, you can see that join there is, for a complicated fit, that's yeah, the best one I've done for sure, just one piece. It's got to be pushed in a little bit there, so what I'll do is I'll just tack the top, and then I'll push it in to the areas that they're sticking out, slowly just hammer and dolly it in. Plug weld the sections in there. I've evened up that bell housing hole with a bit of filing, and I've just got to drill the 2 screw holes to put the cap on at the end, but other than that, it's ready to go. So yeah, I'll just start to tack it in now and then start hammering and dollying. All right, so as I was grinding then, that's going on again. Turn the All right, so as I was grinding that section there, I've been meaning to do this for a while, but because I'm lazy, I haven't done it. But yeah, sparks were going near the gas tank, which is a big no-no, so I've been meaning to take it out, and I want to take it out now before I grind anymore, because you never know, one spark might be the end of this whole build, so I'm going to take it out. Okay, this is an update on this rear quarter panel. I've seam sealed all the inside. I've sprayed some different zinc, silver zinc coating to protect it, and seam sealed underneath it, and drilled all the holes on this panel. I won't go into too much detail. I've already done one of these before, but on the other side, you essentially got all those plug weld holes ready to go, and just try to leave as much paint as I can and just take off the paint where the weld's going to be. Same along this side here and along that edge, both sides. And yeah, now I'll just fit it on and get the pedal alignment clips fitted as well, and then weld this sucker on. Okay, so I've got this mounted in with some magnets and the panel brackets. Pretty happy with it. so far. I know from the last one that I did, from what looks good when you mounted it up, doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate. So you've really got to have a close look and try and get on the angle as much as possible to see if there's any overlap. Because once you weld it in, as you know, it's pretty much impossible to change that. So I've just sort of been finessing and going back and forth, trying to pull out the little highs and lows. These panel clips are good, but you can actually get ones that have varying tension between the bottom and the top. So you can adjust this panel. This one might be sitting slightly in than this one. So with these ones, they're quite basic. They've just got a flat little bolt at the back. So it just pulls everything together in the one level, which is not necessarily what you want to do. So if I was to get these again, I might get the individual adjusting brackets because I think they would be better. Otherwise, I'm just sort of going in and pushing areas in with my thumb and then using magnets to pull the top out. So as I do it, I'll just tack it and then have a look. If I need to push or pull in, I will, and then tack another one. And then, just get it on and then slowly but surely fill in that the gap and the panel. It is quite a big gap, but I'd prefer to have a bigger gap here and have these panel clips than to have a really tight, snug fit and not have the control of these panel clips. So, yeah, I mean, it does mean that you're going to have to potentially rework your welds to get a smooth join, but unfortunately, that's my preferred method in the panels that I've done so far. So gives you more control. So anyway, now I'll start welding it in and see how it goes. All right, so I tried a different method this time. I just did a series of tacks along the front there and on the side, and then took the panel clips out earlier than I did last time because I just wanted to check the alignment of those two panels. And I know that last time the large panel and the quarter panel, I had some issues with this sort of lip coming in. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't going to happen again, and pretty happy with that. So now I can sort of go through, that's not going to move anymore. And then I can just sort of go and use the magnets and push and pull for those low areas that are currently sort of residing in between those tacks. And then, once I've done that, that should be pretty much good to go. And then I will start to weld this underneath section and this front section here. So, I think it should work. I think this is probably the best panel that I've done, I reckon, as far as alignment goes. So I think this technique's the way to go. So finally got this quarter panel done. It's probably, as I said before, it's probably the best one I've done so far actually. So I've used what I've learned from the other two and just changed it up a little bit. And as a result, it's the line and the seam line's actually not noticeable as much as the other two. A little bit here, but as before, you just fill that in with a little bit of body filler. But as a whole, this was a major piece of fabrication that I needed to do on this quarter panel, much bigger than the other one. It was really challenging to try and get the same measurements. And I think based on the fact that I wasn't really I didn't have many reference points here to measure, I think it's actually blended in quite well. Goes well with the wheel arch here and also there as well. And this section just down here, it's a tiny little lip there where I joined it in because I joined it straight up there. But once again, body filler will fix that up. So that's it. That's it for the quarter panel. Next week, I've actually got the paint to start doing some primer on this metal and also the guards. But I haven't had time to actually set that up today. So that episode will be all about the paint. And it's going to be a contentious episode because I'm actually going to be using etch primer instead of 2-pack epoxy to prime the metal. And 50% of the crowd I'll lose straight away by saying that, and 50%, maybe more so the old school guys, will go, yeah, that's fine. I was going to go 2-pack epoxy primer, but when I went in there, they didn't have any. But this is in Milson's Auto Paints in Ferntree Gully, and he was adamant that he goes, I used etch primer all the time, and I used body filler over the etch primer, and he didn't have a problem. And he goes, it doesn't matter what body filler you use. But then I've heard horror stories, well, not horror stories, but I've heard stories that people say do not use body filler over etch primer, but only do 2-pack epoxy. But etch primer was around before 2-pack epoxy was, I'm assuming, in the old days, and that's what they did. The only thing you shouldn't do is put body filler directly onto the metal, because body filler being porous, it's going to absorb air, moisture in the air, and then it can create rust. So that's the whole reason you put a primer down first. But as long as the etch primer is not too thick and you scuff it up after you've put it on, apparently body filler is fine to put over the top of etch primer. So it's cheaper, but what I'm going to do is that wasn't the reason I did it because of cost. It was purely because that's all they had there. And he said it was also the preferred method and his method. He's been a panel beater for 36 years, so I sort of went with him. So once I've done that, I'll do etch primer, body filler, and then the 2-pack epoxy over that for the black base coat, basically. So it'll be a good base colour for the colour that I'll be putting over that, which is going to be a light, dark, silvery pearl, potentially. I'm not too sure yet. I'm going to still suss it out. Anyway, that's it. It's been a massive episode because I haven't done anything for the last 4 weeks because I've been running around looking to buy a house, and that's probably coming up in another episode. But this was a huge job, so it's taken me literally 4 weeks to finish it on and off. So yeah, that's it. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you like all the videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.